The other kind of misconception I felt years ago with the IFA was that people thought it was only for franchisors, and it's not. You're the voice of franchising. And I think the IFA has done a really good job of really getting franchisees more involved in the organization.
100%, Frank.
Wouldn't you agree?
And listen, I mean, when IFA was founded, it was a franchisor only organization. But then as franchising matured and evolved, in the early 90s, and I give the credit to the IFA board at the time, they realized this and they were like, we need to include franchisees in IFA. They have to have a seat at the table.
Absolutely.
Listen, some of our members at the time were not happy about it. And we lost some members at the time, but it was the right thing to do. And it was the best thing to do. And even today, we have technically Dave Humphreys, the chairman of IFA, is a franchisee. We've had franchisees over the years as chairman of IFA or chairwomen, but we also have our board is made up of franchisors, franchisees, and suppliers. Now, suppliers can't chair the IFA, franchisors and franchisees can, but we have stellar franchisees that are involved in IFA. And that is who, when it comes to a grassroots lobbying,
yes,
that is who legislators want to hear from, because franchisees are the ones that are creating jobs. They're the voting folks back in the district, and their employees are the ones who vote. Now, so is the franchisor, right? Don't get me wrong. I mean, as a franchisor, you're employing people, but in some respects, franchisees, especially multi-unit, multi-branded franchisees, employ more people and create more jobs than most franchisors.
That's
right?
true. That is true.
And they have a more powerful voice than anyone within the franchising family.
In order to really be the voice of franchising, you have to have both.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you can't be, at the end of the day, for us to be the true voice of franchising, yes, we are the voice of everybody involved. And, it's always referred to as the three-legged stool, if you will. And you can't have a well-balanced stool if you don't have the franchisor, franchisee, and supplier. And at the end of the day, it all really, the true essence of IFA's membership is the true essence of the franchise relationship. You cannot have a strong, stellar franchise entity, franchise business as a franchisor if you don't have franchisees in the pipeline, stellar franchisees in the system, but then also really good vendors that are playing with you and helping to support you as the franchisor, but also helping to provide benefits and services to your franchisees. I mean, I always tell people the franchise model and the association model is very similar. You've got IFA and all of its members, and you've got I-9 or McDonald's and all of their franchisees, but they also have vendors, and they're also doing conferences, annual conferences, just like we are,
right.
In some respects, mature brands, or at least brands that are royalty sufficient, right? They're able to have boots on the ground and people that are meeting with those franchisees, a few times a year. And it's very hard for, me here in DC to get out. And, we don't have a field ops team necessarily, but we do, because we have our volunteer leaders. And I always like to say, these are the people on the membership committee or on the franchise relations committee, and they're stellar volunteer leaders, even folks like you, Frank, right? That are always out there promoting IFA or meeting with our members, even more so than I am sometimes. So those are really kind of like, those are our field ops.
Yeah.
That's our field ops team, if you will. And it helps to continue to just promote franchising, and it helps us be the voice of franchising. But again, I am always, and my team, we always provide the concierge service to our members. We're the first point of entry for all of our members, people who are entering into IFA or even entering into franchising. And then as they get to know other folks within IFA, or they get to understand how IFA operates, then usually, year 3, year 2 to year 3, they want to start giving back. They want to serve on a committee. They want to speak at events, and then they want to get into leadership roles. So I am always cultivating new blood, right?
Right.
And I always tell people, you're going to be sorry, be careful about what you ask for, because if you want to get more involved, trust me, I'm always looking for fresh blood.
There's a place for you. Paul, I want to get your thoughts on just, the savviness now of the multi-unit franchise owner that really has evolved so much of the past.
Gosh, yes.
Right.
And I will tell you, if I knew then what I know now, I would probably enter into franchising as a franchisee with my goals of being a multi-unit, multi-branded franchisee. My wife would kill me if I came home and said, guess what? I've invested in XYZ franchise.
By the way, that happens, as we know. I have had that happen many times. Discovery Day, where the wife didn't know. I just bought a franchise. I had no intentions of it. My husband wanted it, and I'm stuck with it.
Exactly. But I will tell you, I've seen so many people do so well as franchisees, and they've just done extremely well. And then they've invested in that one concept because for whatever reason, they've realized how powerful franchising is, whether it's hearing stuff from us or just hearing stuff within this whole cottage industry that's built up around franchising. But, of course, we're always promoting the franchise model. We're contacted by local national media on a daily, weekly basis. We're always out there. Our CEO, Matt Haller, always out there promoting franchising. We have our program out there promoting the business model continuously. And so people are always learning about franchising. Mm-hmm. And that's how they enter into it. Because again, it's like people don't understand it. They don't know that, God, I didn't realize, I can't begin to tell you. Let me take a quick step back. Sure. How many times, we have new employees here at IFA and they're like, oh my God, they look at you, and we still print the franchise opportunities guide. It's the yellow pages of franchising. And they're like, I didn't realize all of these folks franchise. Or early on in my career, even today, right. Whenever we're driving anywhere in the US, I'm like, that's a member. My kids are always like, Dad, shut up. We understand everybody franchises, but listen, it's a great way for folks to grow and expand using somebody else's capital, but then also being able to provide as a franchisee opportunities to grow and thrive. So within franchising, you're always going to have those folks that are just happy, having that one location.
Right.
But then when they realize how well they're doing, they may want to, one sign I always see, a sign of a strong, and this is just my perspective, a sign of a strong franchise system is how many franchisees within that system decided to invest an additional unit or 2 or 3, right?
Yes.
That's a sign of a really stellar franchise system, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But then you've got those folks because they realize how well they're doing financially, and they've decided that they want to start diversifying, and they start investing in other brands. And it always tends to be in the food segment or in the hotel segment. Or I always see, there's always multi-unit franchisees in the hotel segment, but then they want to start diversifying, and it always tends to be in the food segment. And similarly, you've got those multi-unit franchisees, multi-branded franchisees, because they've done well, who start diversifying. I've heard this time and time again. They have 1 or 2 or 3 locations in their state. I'll just say Virginia, because that's where I live. And then let's say there's something that might be affecting the economy there, and they realize, if I had locations in other parts of the country that are doing really well right now, where there's a lot of growth, I want to take advantage of that. So that's when they start to look at investing, whether it's with their brand or other brands in other parts of the country. So, they want to protect their interests, right? Things might not be doing well in California, but they are focused heavily now on expanding outside California. And it all has to do with, again, we were able to go in and remove the joint employer from the FAST Act. Mm-hmm. It's a lesser of two evils. Yes, they were going to have to pay $20 an hour and more in salary, but we were able to get the joint employer removed from it. Lesser of two evils. Now, easy, obviously it's easy for me to say, but franchisors who are based there, let's say, they are heavily focused on expanding outside of California. And that's just to obviously benefit as a franchisor, but also their franchisees in that state are going to have to bear the brunt, and consumers are going to have to bear the brunt. There's no such thing as a free lunch. And if it's going to cost more to hire people, then either things are going to be automated, and they're going to be automated quickly, right? Mm-hmm. And ultimately it could have a reverse effect, because yes, people might think they're going to get paid $20 an hour to flip hamburgers. At the end of the day, and I know that I'm sure a lot of brands are looking at automating certain things so they don't have to employ people.
Right. And consumer price is just going to go up automatically anyway.
Well, exactly.
Consumers pay
that's exactly
the brunt of it.
But I will say, I continue to see massive growth, especially on folks that have become successful franchisees. They know how successful they've become because of the franchising. Yeah, they always might have issues with franchisors. It's a relationship issue. I heard this years ago when I started IFA. The franchise relationship is like a marriage. In fact, it lasts longer than most marriages do. Listen, we always believe in mediation. We don't believe in litigation, but as much as I hate to say, there's always litigation within franchise.
Unfortunately, it's a rite of passage.
It just is, but that could be said for within any industry, but
any
franchising
business
is very unique because you have it's a relationship,
right?
A true relationship model. It's based on a relationship model. But at the end of the day, right now, it might be more challenging because of inflation and because interest rates are high. So it's costing more to get that loan, whether it's an SBA or whatever. But still, I know folks in the lending space who have been doing extremely well the past year. That said, there's got to be franchisees out there who they're ultimately working with,
right,
who are doing well. And it's not just those existing franchisees, whether they're single or multi-unit, or single soon to be multi-unit, soon to be multi-unit, multi-branded. There's still people that if they have a good relationship with their local bank, they're going to be able to get funding, or they're going to find their way to the folks within our supplier membership under the financial umbrella, right? And I have to be fair to all of our members, so I don't want to focus on one person under the finance umbrella, but there's quite a few out there that are a great resource for people if you're a first-time franchisee. And listen, at the end of the day, most banks, from my vantage point, if you've never operated a business before, if you've never owned a business before, they might be more willing to sign off on that loan because you're part of a franchise, especially if it's a proven system. Maybe if it's a true startup, I don't know. From my vantage point, I would have to think there might be some issues there. But at the end of the day, I think even though I'm hearing from my friends on the FranDev side that it's taken a little bit longer to close on deals, they're still closing on deals. It's just taking longer because it's just the way things are right now. And I keep hearing from folks that the other shoe is going to drop. I'm just not seeing it yet. I am not seeing that. I mean, our members are renewing because of our business, our due structure on the franchisor side. It's based on your gross U.S. system-wide sales volume of your franchised units. So as you grow, it's like the royalty stream, right?
Sure.
Same model. It was because we were created by franchisors, right? As that franchisor grows and their system grows, their dues to IFA will go up. It's not because of me, but it's because of everything. Again, I'm biased, but we are continually providing stellar value, and we must be, because our members are renewing and they're paying a lot more than they were, and some are paying a lot more, or some are more than happy to continue to pay more as they grow. So franchisors are continually growing. Our members are continually growing. And I like to think IFA has something to do with that, right?
Thank you for tuning into the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. For additional insights, guest applications, and to stay connected, visit us at efbpodcast.com. The Emerging Franchise Brands podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and the views expressed do not necessarily represent those of Emerging Franchise Brands, its host Frank Fiume, or Emerging Franchise Group, LLC. Any discussed franchise or investment opportunity requires thorough investigation, obtaining proper disclosure documents, and expert consultation before making any investment decisions. The podcast and its host do not offer professional advice or endorsements, and they hold no responsibility for actions, representations, accuracy, or consequential damages related to the podcast content.